Alright, we are live. Let me put the stream link in Discord.
A warm welcome to our spectators today from our Belgian locals to fans from around the world. Special guest Timmy Porter will be enjoying the weekend.
And there we go. Hello everyone and welcome to ESRL Division 1. It is round number 7, I believe, out of 12. And we're here in Spa for what's sure to be a fantastic race. I'm joined today in the comms box by Sumo Gilligan, my good friend. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. Off of the back of a crazy race at Miami just a few moments ago, and we're here in Belgium for ESRL for what is going to be a fantastic race, I'm sure, as Palang will be the first car to head out onto the track for qualifying.
Yeah, nearly a minute for the first car to come out on track. So even with a full grid, so everyone really taking their time to make sure they've got their setups right today. But yeah, we're here at one of the most iconic tracks on the F1 calendar. It is Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. As Palang goes up Radion and down towards Les Combes. It's sure to be a pretty interesting qualifying, with a fair few people in the running for top 5 positions, I would say. But the favourite for pole has to be Luca Rapassa, as esports driver. So is Finley, but Finley is X Academy. Luca is like one of the top drivers in X, and I saw him come second in the ESRL team event just yesterday in Jeddah. So he's always the favourite for pole when he's racing in the main ESRL division.
Gosh, big names out there on the grid. Madness. But that is the world we find ourselves in, I suppose, when we enter into the old esports world. That's well, I'm going to say Godzilla just for the sake of it's somewhat close to what it's supposed to be, I suppose, on the medium tyres. Maybe some practice for the Haas driver, who knows? But yeah, it's Spa. It's a great track. It's got a lot of heritage. It's a track where you've got to set up for high speed, but also have enough downforce to tackle that twisty technical sector 2 there as well. It's a tough circuit, and it's going to be an interesting one to see what our elite drivers can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Palang is going to take us on the first lap of the evening as he comes down towards turn 1, breaks at the 100-meter board, gets it stopped, misses the apex by a bit and gets a huge amount of oversteer and backs out of the lap. So we're actually going to ride on board with Cialdo instead, his teammate for today, coming into turn 1, locks up and also misses the apex, but gets a better exit than his teammate. And down towards Orujan Radion now, flat out all the way up this hill. It can be very nerve-wracking as soon as you've got worn tyres in the race, but in qualifying it's just simple, flat out, straight through. As he comes down towards the straight, is Palang going to get out of the way? Yes, he is, thankfully, as Cialda comes down to Les Combes, breaks just at about the 75-metre mark, and through Les Combes that looked pretty hooked up from Cialda as he comes down towards this really tricky hairpin. It's hard to get the brakes in without locking up, and it's hard to get the exit without spinning. Godzilla is out. He's binned it at Les Combes, so he will start from the back of the grid as Cialda, his old teammate from the Cockpit Cam Championship, comes through Pouon, and I'll let Sumo go for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, look, very hooked up for that first part. Now we come through the end of it, in towards the Stabilos. As we go along, or this Curve Pour Friere, if you want to call it that, as well, many corner names to go through, but it's flat all the way down to the bus stop from here on in for Cialda in the Alfa Romeo. He's going to be the driver to set the pace, flat through Blancham on this left-hander as they go through, not flat in any other car really, but in a Formula 1 car it's not much of a corner. Then braking all the way down to third gear through bus stop, looked very well put together, carried the speed well down towards the line to open us up with a 1 minute 41.8.
Not a bad opening lap at all from Cialda. B17 also out of qualifying. He binned it on the exit of No Name by the looks of it. So he is going to be pretty annoyed with that. So he and Godzilla will start from the back of the grid. Short Marcus can only manage a 42.4, so a long way off of Cialda. But of course, 1/10 is realistically in Spa, more like 3/10 on most other tracks. Or less than that. More than that? More than that. So, yeah, 4/10. Not actually that much. A speed alcoholic goes into P2 in the meantime in the other McLaren. Johnny Stokes, the championship leader, by 24 points going into this race. He's into P4 for now, but that lap from Cialda looking very, very good, but not good enough to beat Danny Van Rooten, who goes to P1 in the Aston Martin. So who else can beat that? Perhaps this man, TF Martin, in the Red Bull. Jordan Lancer still in the pits. Luca Rapassa also coming to the line. It's a 41.2 from him. The favourite for pole goes to pole for now. What about X Finley? He's coming through Lecom, but TF Martin is coming to the final sector of his lap in the Red Bull. Had the best of starts to his title defense campaign, had a race ban as well earlier this season in Singapore for antics in Baku with Short Marcus, who also got a race ban for himself. But Martin, 32 points off the championship lead at the halfway stage, so he's not going to be pleased with how this season has gone so far. He's coming into bus stop now, the last couple corners, and he's going to look to make it a Red Bull 1-2 at the top of the grid. He hasn't quite done that, but it is P4 for Martin. But I think the real target is probably going to be P3 today. I think Danny and Luca are both seasoned esports drivers.
Yeah, they've definitely looked like they've got something together. Palang's invalidated his previous attempts there as well. Lifeboat's still in the garage. Finley struggling, he's invalidated again this next attempt, so he'll come straight back into the pits. There he goes. As they go through. Anybody else out there on a lap at the moment? I don't think so. Everybody's just coming back around. It's such a long track, is Spa. You've really got to make your timings as accurate as possible, because you can really find yourself without being able to set a lap, I suppose, if you're caught short.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's very easy to invalidate around here as well. There's so many corners that can go wrong. Exit of Lecom can go wrong. La Source as well can even go wrong. You could even get Eau Rouge and Radion a bit wrong and invalidate there. There's plenty of places where it can happen. And a lap of Spa is more like an endurance test than a qualifying lap, really, because there's so many parts to the track, and you've got to have your head screwed on for the entire lap, and it can be really difficult to keep the concentration in for that long. Matty Jones and Jordan Lance are on out laps at the moment, so we'll have a quick look at the driver standings, Sumo. It is Johnny Stokes, who is on a 4-podium streak, and he has 96 points. He's not been the fastest driver in the league this season. He's just been the most consistent, the most patient, and he's reminding me a lot of MX back in the day in APP Tier 1 when he was winning those Tier 1 titles. It's reminding me a lot of that. Just patient, consistent, and delivers the results week in, week out. And everyone else is faltering at the moment, and that's why Johnny has a 24-point lead over Jordan Lancer. Luca Rapassa in P3 in the standings, 27 points behind, despite missing 3 races at the start of this season. So we know who the favourite for the title is going to be towards the end of this season. But we've also got TF Martin, 32 points behind, and then Clemo, Lewis, Short Marcus all the way down in 7th, 46 points behind, as Matty Jones and Lancer begin their laps. Lancer in Sector 2 right now.
Yeah, I'm just watching on board with Jordan Lancer, one of the 5 drivers that have yet to set a lap. Coming through Pouon now, or you can call it Double Gosh if you wish as well. My time in other categories has really taught me a thing or two about Spa's corner names. But coming through the Campos chicane in towards Stavilo we go as well. He set a purple first sector, but we'll ignore that because it's his first run. 13.3 over the line as he goes in toward sector number 3, flat all the way. I'll get a bit of a tow from the McLaren, who gets out of the way just off the circuit there. That was probably either speed or short mark. There's only 2 McLarens out there. I don't know which one was which. He's backed off. He's pulled out of the lap. Did he run out of fuel? Was it not good enough? I don't know, but he's peeling into the pit lane.
That's a surprise. It seemed okay to me. I would have just at least gone the lap. Oh, yeah, he's run out of fuel, Sumo. He hasn't put enough fuel in. That'll explain it. Matty Jones coming around the final corner in the meantime. In the Williams, he goes up to P12 with a 43.9, just ahead of Tier, but just behind Rick, who's on track today. It's great to see. And Rashka there in P10, championship leader Johnny Stokes down in P8, but just about to start his next run. Short Marcus on a lap, Speed Alcoholic on a lap, and Cialda as well, who's sitting P3 right now, on a lap as well in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see if it's an improvement. He's coming through sector 2 now. That was right on the limit, all the way off the track with the car there, through that right-hander. That was very nicely done, but he's only 4 thousandths of a second off on his previous best. So he's got absolutely nail bus stop for any sort of significant improvement here.
Yeah, purple to the middle sector was the Alfa Romeo. This is the important part though. 2 more corners, navigate the exit. So vital. The entire section really vital. You've got to carry the speed. You've got to make sure the exit is perfect. He comes across, doesn't get too much on the curb. Could be a slight improvement. It is only a slight improvement. And season go up by 200ths of a second. Not by any sort of positions though. And Short Marcus is coming down towards that bus stop chicane. Has he got anything more in him? Our number 1 fan here at ESRL coming down towards the final corner. Through it he goes, up into P3 at 41.6 on Short Marcus. He had something in the tank.
Brilliant lap from last season's P3 finisher in the driver's standings, which is misleading. He lost out on the championship by 1 point, and yet he finished P3. It just tells you a lot about how last season went. But Speed Alcoholic invalidated his run, so he's got to try again. Up to P9 in the meantime in the Alpine, and Johnny Stokes has backed off of his lap, so he's going to have to go again.
Yeah, the ex-Academy driver doing well for the time being. He might have time for one more. How about Tier of APPF1 fame? Up to P13 he goes. 1 minute 42.749. Not a bad lap from him. Palang has invalidated his current effort out there. Jordan Lancer back out on the circuit. How about Clemo coming through sector 3 now? He's down in P11 right now. A 1 minute 42.4. That's about 1.2 seconds off of that pole time. Has he got any improvement out there? Coming down to a bus stop now. This could perhaps see him just eke into that top 10. No, he's in the pit lane. Never mind.
Yeah, he lost a bit of time in sector 2 and wasn't improving, so obviously didn't nail bus stop enough to get any improvement. But Short Marcus will be happy with that. P4's Lifebout has gone up into P2 while we weren't watching, onto the front row in that Alpine, so he'll be happy with that one. We've also got Cialda, but he's not on a lap. He's heading into the pit lane. Speed Alcoholic has gone again, but he's not using ERS, so I think he's heading into the pits as well. Is the South African. Finley not on a lap. Tears just finished a lap. Rick has invalidated, so we'll keep an eye on Jordan Lancer. He's the only one really on a lap right now as he comes into the middle sector. It is a 30.003 in sector 1. So what can he do in the second sector as he comes through Lecombe and down towards this really tricky right-hander? So easy to lock up here, but Lancer does no such thing. So easy to lose the rear out in the exit as well, but again Lancer perfectly fine, nearly invalidates, does invalidate on the exit, and he's going to be fuming in that cockpit.
That looked very put together from the Mercedes driver, and just that little bit too much over the line. He's got 3 minutes and 36 seconds left, so we'll have one more chance to get this lap in, get that car back to the pit lane. Maybe he'll try and go out on this set, but he might run out of fuel again. So I'd probably go back in, refuel, get some fresh tyres, try again, maybe save those tyres for the race.
Yeah, for sure. As Lancer comes through the final sector, he's going to have to head into the pits. But yeah, like you say, 3 minutes left in quali. This has flown by, I have to say. As Lancer is only going to get one more run, or else he's going to start this race from P18, which for the man sitting P2 in the standings, not ideal at all. And another man who's got to improve here is Johnny Stokes, the championship leader, sitting down in P10 here. I know I said he's not the fastest on the grid in terms of raw pace, but he still won't be happy with P10 from qualifying, so he's got to find something here on this final run. 2.5 minutes to go, and a lot of drivers on outlaps, as pole position still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, here we go then. Matty Jones is going to be the first driver to kick us off in the Williams. He starts off his lap coming down to Les Source. Let's see as he goes through, braking just after that 100-meter board. That looked fairly put together through there. A little bit too much curb, maybe close to invalidating. Doesn't do so, though. Maybe could have got a better acceleration on the exit. How much curb is he going to take through our Ocean Radion? It doesn't look too committed through there. He might have lost a bit of speed, honestly, going down to the Camel Straight now and in towards the source. We'll see what the time is as he crosses the Sector 1 line. He's up by 4 tenths,
Wow.
so perhaps I'm not sure what I'm talking about as we go through. Then through Malmedy, takes plenty of curb through there, maybe loses out as he's had to be a little tentative to sort of keep the car on the way through. Not as quick as we've seen some drivers go through Brussels, but a decent run anyway. And we'll see as he comes through down towards Pouon goes the Williams car. Is coming up to the traffic. You'll hope they'll get out of the way as they go through. A little bit too much curb though. Lucky to keep the car going, but I think that's lap over.
Yeah, for sure, but that was a great save. It's a shame it wasn't the race, because he would have been pleased with that otherwise. But
Something's happened. He's made contact with a Red
yeah,
Bull.
he's got no front right end plate, and
was
a Red
Luca.
Bull is round. It was Luca. I wonder if there's rear wing damage to the Red Bull then, and if so, he's not going to be able to improve. There's plenty of people on outlets. Martin is one of them, the defending champion in Sector 1 right now, coming to the end of it. He's just improving by 17 thousandths of a second, but Sector 1 is basically just one corner. As long as you do Eau and Radion similarly every time. But there's where you can gain or lose the most time, and that is a lot of lost time through that right-hander for TF Martin. Loses the rear mid-corner, and I would be very surprised if he improves on this lap now.
Just keep an eye on Palang. He's going to be the next driver to set a lap as everyone else is starting. There's a lot of traffic coming through bus stop right now. Palang's just about to finish his lap. He'll hope the Mercedes just ahead of him keeps out of his way. He looks like he's going to. It's going to be an improvement. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to place him. Maybe in towards the middle of the pack. No, P14 for Palang as he crosses the line. How about Reshka, who's 5 tenths up on his previous? Could see him break into the top 7.
Whoa.
It is P7 for Reshka. Not a bad improvement. How about TF Martin? He's a 10th up on his previous. Has he got anything left in there? It's close. All of the top 6 in the 1 minute 41s. Has TF Martin got anything left in that Red Bull to give? Let's see as he crosses the line. It's P6. No improvement of position, but up by 600ths of a second.
He'll be really disappointed with that. He lost a lot of time in that middle sector, and I think lost quite a bit of time at the last corner as well. Lewis AP improves to P7 just ahead of him. Good improvement from him as well in the Williams. Speed Alcoholic is up by 3 tenths in the middle sector. Scotty here goes up to P11, unseats his teammate, but Johnny Stokes improving by nearly half a second in the middle sector as the championship leader comes down to bus stop. A crucial final corner for him. He's got to get this right. It could see him up into the top 6 if he can nail this. Cialda up to P2, Johnny Stokes P6, exactly what he needed to do there. Short Marcus also on a lap, he's nearly 2/10 up in Sector 2. Speed Alcoholic to P3, brilliant lap from him. I mean, on my screen it says he's 1,000th up on Cialda, but that definitely can't be right. Lifebout can only manage P4. Luca Rapassa at 41.1 in the end. It's not too much of an improvement though. Short Marcus through the final corner for the McLaren driver. What can the British driver do? It's no improvement in the end. Oh, it is an improvement, but not in position. He stays P6. Clemo to P7. What about Jordan Lancer? This is a pressure lap and he's invalidated. He will start from the back of the grid. The man P2 in the standings is going to be punching his wall in his rig, in the room that his rig is in. He is going to be furious.
Wow. Yeah. You could tell by his frustration by the way he just re-entered the pit lane there. Yeah. Tap on the wall, just straight over the line. No regard, no even thought about slowing down. On my screen, Ghost, it says that Cialda and Speed Alcoholic have set the exact same lap time, 1:41.478.
Yeah, so that's the same for me now, but just a moment ago, before Luca set his final lap, they both... it looked like Speed was 1,000th up on Cialda, but he was one place below, so some weird shenanigans from the game there. But there we go. It is Luca Rapassa on pole position by just over 2.5 tenths from Cialda and Speed, but pretty close all round here. It's Lifebout in P4 with Danny down in 5th place. Short Marcus in P6 on the 3rd row with Clemo and Johnny Stokes, championship leader, in P8, but a good pressure lap at the end from him to get himself up onto the 4th row. Mar 10 down in P9 with Lewis AP in 10th. Reshka and Finley make up the 6th row. Surprised to see Finley that far down as well. Scotty and Rick row 7, and then Tia and Palang, Matty Jones, and then Jordan Lancer down in P18, invalidated all his laps, and then B17 and Godzilla both crashing out on their first runs, so they'll start from the back row. But Luca Rapassa, there's some news in the Discord, both from Lifebout and Luca. Lifebout said he did a 40.9, he invalidated it. So he'll be gutted about that. And Luca Rapassa, apparently, we saw that earlier with the collision between Luca and Matty Jones. Luca didn't know Matty Jones was on a lap and blocked him. So Luca could be facing a hefty penalty from the stewards after this race, so we'll have to keep that in mind, Sumo.
Yeah, we do, and there's a bit of an argument going on in there about going on a lap too early. Surely the drivers are entitled to go on a lap whenever they like. It is the responsibility of the drivers on slow laps to get out of the way. So I don't really think Luca Rapassa's got much legs to stand on in this argument here.
All I'll say,
deal with that one.
Yeah, for sure. All I'll say about that is the most esports driver thing to say I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, no, he might find himself in the stewards room after this one. But he will start this race from pole position, and, well, he won Singapore by over 20 seconds. He won Portugal by a similar margin. So if he can win this race by 20 seconds as well, it's not going to matter if he gets a qualifying block penalty.
Yeah, I mean, anything could happen, though, in these opening laps of the race, so we'll have to wait and see as we go along as well. But it's interesting grid that we have as we go along. And Lifeboat, you've got to keep it in the white lines, mate, and you would have been on pole position. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, as they say. As you go along now, I could say the same thing. If I hadn't have spun in tier 2 all those various times, I wouldn't be sat on 4 points without being able to reach the final lap.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a torrid time for you in Tier 2 this season, but the improvement's there, mate. You'll get there. It's Luca, Lifebout, Danny, Finley, and Rick all starting on the hard tyres, with everyone else on the grid starting on mediums. So going to be an interesting first stint here, especially at the front. We've got 3 of the top 5 on hards, 2 of them on mediums, and then the likes of Short Marcus, Clemo, Johnny Stokes, TF Martin, all behind them on mediums. There's a lot of very fast names in that top 10, Sumo, who all have the potential to cause some disruption for the front guys.
No, I'm sure Scott will be happy that Short Marcus and TF Martin are a few positions away from each other today. Let's hope there's no drama between those two. No, we don't, and I wouldn't want any more race bans under their names, that's for sure. After their comings together and whatnot, a bitter rivalry between the two of them. Really, there's no love lost out there between them. I mean, all I've got to think of is the sprint championship, the reverse sprint championship that ESRL had just before the new year, or was it just at the beginning of the year? I can't remember. All these races, they start to blur into one at one point, but we've seen a lot from them, so I'd expect them to be putting on a show in the middle there as well. I think Danny Van Rooten, he'll be a little bit disappointed with his qualifying. He was unable to improve on his lap there, but he'll be looking to make an impact from P5, go long into the race, just like Lifebout, Luca Rapace there as well, Finley, Rick as well, all looking to go long and then more aggressive. But I'm not sure if safety car's turned off here for Spa.
It's
just
not,
because of its finickiness. So, well, it's not. So we'll
Scott
see.
didn't
And
tell me
safety
to
cars
turn it
tend
off,
to
so I
be
left
coming
it on.
out. There you go then. They tend to be quite defining in at Belgium. So we'll see. But they're lining up on the grid now, guys.
Yeah, they certainly are. A late safety car could throw everything, throw plenty of spanners and plenty of works. But yeah, this is going to be a fascinating first stint, I think, with the hards versus mediums. And if there is an early safety car as well, that would be bad news for the hard tyre runners. But we're going to ride on board with Cialda for the start, because we have the best camera angle from him. As we wait for everyone to get lined up. All 20 drivers, a full grid today in ESRL. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are underway in just a second for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a great start from Cialda from P2 on those medium tyres. He's already ahead into turn 1, but Luca breaks very late for La Source. Cialda can't do anything about it, and Luca keeps the lead for turn 1. Everyone looks like they've gotten through turn 1 cleanly, so great start from the ESRL drivers. It looks like Johnny Stokes and Clemo are going side by side through Radion. They've done it brilliantly well. Great racing between the two. Clemo has managed to stay ahead. Short Marcus making a move on Lifebout in the meantime for P5. What a start for Short Marcus, by the way, as we've got Lewis and Johnny as well side by side. Johnny shipping positions at the moment, but he keeps P8 for now, as he couldn't defend from Clemo, as TF Martin still down in P10. We've got yellow flags. That's Godzilla round, so it's a brutal start to the race for him. Jordan Lancer already up to P13, up 5 positions from the start already, and we're only halfway through lap 1.
Yeah, what a start. Charles riding on board with Short Marcus off the start of that. He got an incredible launch as they went down toward La Source. He was level with Danny Van Rooten and was almost ahead of him into the corner. Then Danny Van Rooten saw an opportunity, dove down the inside of La Source, got ahead of Lifebout, dispatched of him very quickly. And then Short Marcus, he got the better run through Al Rouge and Radion, had the speed to get past Lifebout, and got himself into P5, leaving the Dutchman for dust in P6.
Lancer made up another position through Pouon down the inside of Finley at Pouon. It's a brilliant move. And now with the next car in his sights is Reshka. He's clearly got a lot more pace than the drivers ahead of him. He's going to be so frustrated that he didn't put that lap together. And Reshka has hit the back of Martin just ahead. And Lancer takes full advantage round the outside, the inside for the final corner. And he's up to P11 as Reshka heads into the pits. Must have front wing damage, but I think he's probably only got himself to blame for that one. But we'll see. Maybe Mar moved under braking, I've no idea, but Lewis has lost a position to the defending champion as Mar goes up to P9, making that move in La Source. But Lancer in the balance, he's up 7 positions in 1 lap.
Yeah, not a bad go of it for Lancer. He's putting on... Well, he's putting a shift on, I suppose, as he goes through Lifeboat, losing another place to Clemo in the Mercedes. Speed and Danny Van Rooten side by side through Malmedy as they go. The Aston Martin just gets through narrowly short. Marcus will try and look to get past his teammate if he can. Will Speed let him through, perhaps? Are there going to be team orders at McLaren? Who knows? But Danny Van Rooten up onto the podium places now, leading the rest of this train as they go. Cialda looking to chase after Luca Rapassa, keeping him honest for now, within DRS reach at the minute. 1.5, 1.6 is the gap though between Danny Van Rooten and Cialda there toward the front. And yes, it was end plate damage on that right hand side for Reshka that saw him come into the pit stops. He's back out now on a fresh set of mediums coming through sector 2.
Yeah, that battling between Danny and Speed has cost them big time. They're out of DRS range, and so is Cialda now from Luca Rapassa. It's just over 1 second. It's come back down again, thanks to Cialda using ERS, but Luca's used plenty as well. I thought he'd be on a lot more than that. So Cialda keeping up for now, but only just, and he's got to get a really good exit at La Source to keep that DRS down towards Lecom.
Making more moves through bus stop, and TF Martin's looking as well. The Williams them as they were tussling together. There was contact between Lewis and Finley with a big send. He breaks late as he dares, gets out of the way to make an evasive move, just about keeps the position from Scotty here, perhaps just losing out though on making those moves. TF Martin, the big winner in that fight, they're finally out of P10 as the Red Bull driver as they go through, but Jordan Lancer on the push again, and here's Danny Van Rooten and Speed Alcoholic side by side in towards La Source as they go. Who's going to come out on top? The McLaren in front, and he's going to be at the whims of his teammate behind. Short Marcus Clemo and Lifeboat side by side through Malmedy. They go, little bit of wheel banging between the two, down towards Ravage they go, and it's down the inside for the Alpine, not budging at all, still side by side, and it looks like Lifeboat just pulls out ahead through No Name and keeps the place.
Incredible racing between those two, but look at the gap to the top two, 3 seconds now. Luca Rapassa and Cialda running away with this race right now, but Rick, the first to get a track limits penalty, actually the second tier got one first, but there'll be many more in this Grand Prix, I guarantee it, as Martin looking for a way through. Lancer trying to find one as well, looking to the inside of Mar, but couldn't quite get it done there. Lewis holding on, but this train is huge, and there's plenty of battling going on,
Marcus,
and there's more battling here. Here comes Marcus to the inside, down towards Blanchimont on Danny. He backs out just in time before the corner, but Danny knew he would, and he's now going to go for his teammate into bus stop maybe. Looks to the outside, then turns back in, tries to get the switchback, but it's not going to happen, and he's going to have to wait for the DRS down towards Lecom. But this is fantastic racing from the whole grid here in ESRL. Absolutely loving this.
There's TF Martin looking to make moves in the background. He had a little sniff at the Ferrari ahead of him, and he's going to pull out alongside Johnny Stokes now. They're side by side heading towards Al Rouge and Radion. Backs off this TF Martin. Perhaps a poor exit. He's at the whims of Jordan Lancer now, who's chasing after him as they run up the hill. For the fourth time this evening. Short Marcus, meanwhile, he's getting close. Once again, it's going to be 3 wide as they go down towards Lecom. Here we go. They're both past Speed Alcoholic. And now it's Short Marcus and Danny Van Rooten side by side. Danny gets ahead of the McLaren, sticks his claim on P3, and he leaves those two McLarens behind him in his mirrors. Clemo, meanwhile, fighting with Johnny Stokes, TF Martin, side by side with him down towards Ravage. Down it goes, late on the brakes. Jordan Lancer looks to get a nose in down the inside as well. Oh, it's all happening in the middle of the grid here. And round the outside goes Jordan Lancer through No Name, given barely enough space to race through. A little tap on the wall. That's hard racing between the two. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Championship leader really struggling here, losing a ton of positions now, down to P10, but he's still in this train, and that's the important thing. He nearly went in the back of Lancer there by the looks of it, but just about managed to keep it together. But Lancer now up to P9, Martin up to P8, and it's Clemo just ahead. I think Johnny tried to go for a move on Clemo. It didn't quite go well, and it cost him big time, as that is Rick round, unfortunately, in Sector 2. And down to P18 he goes.
Danny Van Rooten is under pressure again. The two McLarens hounding him.
Whoa.
Lifebout getting involved too. Speed goes very, very late on the brakes. Invites Lifebout for a send down the inside. He's going to emerge side by side now with the McLaren driver who's been battling with for the last couple of laps. Clemo and TF Martin going wheel to wheel as well. A bit further back. Lifebout, the Dutchman, down the inside of Speed Alcoholic. The South African gets his way ahead. But
here we go.
Keeping it in there is Speed. We're going up the hill. Are they going to run side by side? They are. Will it be calamity between them? No. Lifebout holds it in there, and Speed Alcoholic gives him the room to race as well. A short marker's on the attack once again. He's ahead now of Danny Van Rooten in the DRS zone, and Cialda in for the lead.
Cialda gets past Luca into Lecombe, and he leads the Belgian Grand Prix for the first time today. What a performance he's putting in so far. I know we're only on lap 5, but Luca back down the inside again at Rivage, but Cialda stays ahead on the exit. Brilliant racing throughout the grid. Lifebout up to P4 in the meantime. I can't keep up with everything that's happening.
There's so much going on. He got ahead of Danny Van Rooten through Rivage and No Name there. Danny Van Rooten's lost a good couple of places after that. Tussle down towards Lecombe and through the Kemmel Straight they went. Lifebout finally got some rhythm now in this race on those hard compound tyres. They've definitely perhaps started to outmatch those mediums that are perhaps halfway through their life already.
Big mistake from Clemo just ahead of Martin there, and it could invite the Red Bull driver to have a look down towards Blanchimont, but the straight line speed from Clemo is just too much, and there's been so much going on that I haven't really been able to get a read on people's setups yet, because you can go high or low downforce on this track, and both have their strengths and weaknesses, but Clemo staying ahead. It looks like he's got a bit lower downforce than Martin as Godzilla picks up a time penalty after a spin earlier in this lap. Finley getting past Johnny Stokes, who's down to P12 now, the championship leader, having a nightmare out here in Spa.
He's just getting robbed lap after lap after lap, and he's now down with his teammate Scotty here. He won't want to get robbed by him. But let's see as we go. Luca Rapassa's on the attack for the lead of this race. He pulls to the outside. They draw level once more, these two competitors. But it's Luca Rapassa with the speed to get the place. Meanwhile, Lifebout gets the move down on short markers, and here comes Danny Van Rooten down the inside. Is he going to go for the both of them? No, he slots in between the two cars, gets himself back into P4. This fight continues.
Clemo right behind Speed as well, looking for a way through, but couldn't quite find it. And short markers down to P5, but all of these drivers, there's so much battling going on, and I mean, any lap, any of them could be in any of these positions, to be honest, at this point. As Godzilla calls it a day, I'm not surprised, into the pit lane, and our first retirement of this Grand Prix. But yeah, he's had a torrid time like that, so I don't blame him, to be honest.
It happens. You have a few mistakes at the beginning of a session. You get a few more mistakes as you keep going, and it's hard to carry on and keep going. With Palang getting a 3-second time penalty now, he will join the likes of Finley, Tier, and Rick E17, who had a bit of a spin earlier on as well and finds himself down further than he would have liked to be in this race. It's all calm for the time being, but we're due another run up towards Al Rouge and Radion through the Kemmel Straight.
Rick's binned it at Pouon. Is that a safety car, I wonder? Doesn't look like it. So Rick out of this Grand Prix. I'm very surprised that's not a safety car. Usually any crash brings it out around here. But look, by the way, Sumo, look at the gap between the top two and Lifebout. It's come down. It was 3.8 not very long ago. It's now come down to 2.7. So it's come down by a second, even with a huge lockup and error from Lifebout into La Source there.
Yeah, the top two have been fighting a little bit. I don't think Cialda's quite close enough on this approach to go for a move on Luca Rapassa, but they've not got much ERS between them either, and neither of many of the drivers in the top 5. Short markers with the most ERS and the drivers in the top
outside
10.
Of Clemo. Sorry to interrupt you, Sumo. Around the outside of Lecombe. What a move from the defending champ. And now Jordan Lancer mugs his teammate on the exit, and he's up to P8, follows Martin round. And Rick in the chat saying that was not a good setup, and after his retirement. So we're down to 18 drivers, and unfortunately Rick, one of the ones to miss out.
Yeah, that's a shame, Rick. You know, it wasn't looking too bad. You were fighting in amongst there, but there you go. How do you go from winning in APP around here to this performance? Who knows? It happens, Rick. That's the nature of the beast, sadly. Using both of his accounts to make comments. 10 people watching. Come get involved in the live chat as well. This race is fantastic. We'd love to hear your opinions.
Yeah, I second that. Jordan Lancer, by the way, getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits. That could be very, very costly. B17 getting one at the back of the grid as well in the meantime, but Jordan Lancer right on the back of Martin. He can't quite make the move here. Cialda has lost out a bit of time to Luca, but luckily just about still in DRS, but Lifebout is flying. He has gapped Danny, and Danny now out of DRS range, and Lifebout is closing in. It's 1.6 seconds now to the top two.
He's putting in a shift, I'll tell you that much. And Luca Rapassa, maybe he's looked at Lifebout and seen he might be a threat perhaps. He's opened up that gap to Cialda now, but I think Cialda's tyres are starting to come toward the end of their life here. But with it being a 22 lap race, you can really just sort of, the pit window opens for both sets of tyres around the same time really, so it's not much in it.
As Lancer gets past Martin for P7 in the meantime. Just a simple DRS pass. There was a little bit of contact, just giving Martin a little bit of a kick up the backside through Radion, telling him to hurry up, and then getting past him on the approach to Lecom. But looks like Palang out of this race, and that is a safety car. There we go. Matty Jones has got caught up in it as well. I think there was probably contact between the two. Matty Jones with no front wing, Palang out of the race, and we've got a safety car in this Grand Prix. And, well, it's bad news really for Luca, Lifebout and Danny. That means they're going to have to do mediums all the way to the end. It can be done, and it's fine, but it's not ideal.
No, not at all. I think Tier was caught up in that as well. There's about 3 cars caught up in that collision there, and this is good news for the medium runners. They'll be on the better tyre, I think. Those drivers who are going to have to pit for the mediums now, they're going to be, well, on the mediums of course, with the hard runners. They're going to have the longer lasting tyres into this stint. Everybody's going to come in. It's going to be a very busy pit lane, or anybody lose out. That shouldn't have happened, as cars ghosting into one another, but there you go. Let's see, Lifebout could be a big loser here if he gets caught short. Let's see as they come back out into the pits.
Speed Alcoholic, a massive loser here. He's had to double stack with his teammate. Clemo as well has had to double stack. Yeah, not ideal for those two. I think those are the only two who got caught out with a double stack here. I think Martin was just... No, Martin lost out as well. He had to double stack with Luca. So, yeah, a lot of drivers having to lose out here and going to be cursing this safety car. But Luca, Lifebout and Danny on the mediums, they're going to be very fast to start off with. But they're going to have to do 14 laps on those tyres. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, Luca Rodoni just opened up that gap now as well. He could come back under threat. Yeah, I think he'll have... I mean, Cialda might struggle a little bit. He'll have Lifebout and Danny Van Rooten hot on his heels on the restart there. I think Short Marcus and Jordan Lancer, if they're going to be smart about this, they're going to sit there and bide their time and hopefully stay with that top 4 as they go through and see what they can do. But Jordan Lancer, of course, with that time penalty, that's really going to hamper him after making such good progress on the back of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's going to be annoyed about that time penalty. Could easily cost him a few positions here with how close everyone is today. Palang in the chat saying, awesome job, no ghosting whatsoever. So I'm assuming that Matty Jones spun in front of him and there was nothing he could do. So that's really unfortunate for Palang. But he's now out of this race. 17 cars left in the Belgian Grand Prix. We haven't hit the halfway stage yet. Speed has spun. Speed spins under the safety car. I was riding on board with him. I was riding on board with him as well. I cursed him, Sumo. He's down to P12. He's lost 4 positions from that spin. I don't know if he got any damage. He hit the wall, but it was very, very slight contact. But that is a terrible error from the South African and very, very costly.
He'll be cursing the name Ghost 272 for that one when he finds out, Ghost, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Palang, you can never rely on the ghosting in this game, honestly. Palang, you've got to treat it as if ghosting's not on and try and get out of the way to the best of your ability. That's all I can say, really.
Yeah, second that one. You've got to assume someone's going to ghost until the very last moment, really. Obviously, if someone spins in front of you, nothing you can do. But yeah, it's a bit temperamental. Scotty here into the pits. I wonder what tyres he's going to go for here, because he was on the hards. Maybe there's damage to that Ferrari. I'm not sure. Let's see. No front wing replacement. It's fresh mediums for Scotty, so he's taking a big gamble here, but I think he'll be fine. He's only got to do 12, 13 laps or so. So I think Luca, Lifebout and Danny, they'll be fine here, but towards the end of the race they'll start struggling compared to the hard tyres. But I think all three of them have the pace that it's not going to matter. So I think, personally, Sumo, I think it'll be a 3-horse race for this race victory.
Yeah, I think if the medium runners can make the most of their tyres, gap those hard runners, then it will be too late for them to actually get themselves back into the race there as well. I mean, the interesting question is, Cialda is the roadblock between Lifebout and Danny Van Rooten and the lead of this race, really. So they've got to try and get clear of this Alfa Romeo as quickly as possible in order for Luca Rapassa not to just simply drive off up the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about strategic driving here in this sort of situation. You've got to keep the pace on, but you've also got to make sure you overtake at the opportune times. Because if you try and rush it and you try and overtake at the wrong part of the track, you can end up costing yourself more time than if you just stick behind and wait for the DRS. So you've got to have a good head on your shoulders in these kind of situations. But I know Lifebout does. He's a very experienced driver. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know much about Danny, so we'll see how he plays it. But safety car is going to be in this lap. Hello to Lupper in the chat as well. We've got 6 people watching the stream. Hope you're all enjoying the race so far. I certainly am. We're about to hit the halfway point in the Belgian Grand Prix as this safety car comes in, and we're about ready to go. Luca Rapassa is going to set the pace.
Just block the road, said Palang. That is a huge shame. Hello, Lapis, as well. I'm here too. Hi.
Yeah, Sumo's here. Say hi to Sumo as well. Luca taking this very slow. He's gone straight away. He's caught Cialda napping. He's gone before Blanchimont, and that's why he was going so slowly. It's a brilliant restart from Luca, and Cialda going to have to fight tooth and nail to stay with him here through bus stop. It's a great run through bus stop, to be fair to Cialda, but not the exit he wanted compared to Luca. Lost 2/10 there, and already a 9/10 gap between the top two, and Luca judging that to perfection.
Lifebout smells blood in the water. That gap opening up. The Alpine going to be tucked right into the draft of that Alfa Romeo ahead of him. He's got the grip to really send it through. He's got the speed to make it through. I get my hello from Lupper, and as I do, Lifebout goes straight through. It's 3 wide as they go. Danny Van Rooten's going to try and get through as well with the speed. He does so. That was very close, barely a sheet of paper between them, but they're both past Cialda as quickly as possible, and now it is the charge after Luca Rapassa in P1. The fight is on.
Yeah, very slight wheel bang between Danny and Cialda, but I don't think there was anything in it. But Danny gets himself a time penalty, and Cialda immediately after at the same corner. Both of them 3-second track limits time penalties, and that could be very costly by the end of this one. Lifebout in P2, and he's back in the DRS range of Luca. He is looking very, very quick on those mediums right now, and could be the favourite for this race win, although especially if we're right in saying that Luca could find himself with a hefty qualifying blocking penalty for earlier on, but Lifebout, I don't think he'll know that. He'll just be wanting to win this on track.
Yeah, certainly, and he's definitely within the distance to do so. He's got to last out a couple more laps before the DRS is activated, but he's
Oh, see
definitely
Albert
in
very
there.
deep at bus stop, extremely deep. I think he's had a pedal issue. That's what it looked like. He went very, very deep, and he's going again now, but I have no idea what happened to Cialda. That is a
Pits.
massive shame. He's back into the pits, and I am absolutely gutted for him. He's put in a brilliant performance so far today, but I think that looks very much like a technical issue to me, Sumo.
Yeah, I think so. He had very little to no throttle going into the pit lane there, and he's out of the session. Meanwhile, Jordan Lancer up ahead of Short Marcus. These two battling. They don't want to do that. They need to try and work together to stay as close to the top three as possible. Especially Short Marcus with those penalties up ahead as well. Finley with another 3-second time penalty under his name. As we go, there's a yellow flag. That's Cialda's car just coming back out onto the track before it disappears. But Lifebout, 5/10 of a second behind Luca Rapassa, putting the pressure on Danny Van Rooten there too. But that penalty's going to really slow him down.
Look at the ERS though, Sumo. Danny, less than 10% already. He's flashing on the back of that car all the time. Lifebout on 50% or so. Luca on about 35, or Lifebout 45. So close between those two. But Danny using overtake again to try and stay with those two. But he's really struggling. And I think he's going to lose out here if he's still going to get the DRS. But he's got no ERS left at all, 0%. And yeah, he's going to be a sitting duck. Well, not a sitting duck, but he's going to be very, very slow on the straights compared to the two ahead.
Yeah, he certainly is. Lapis saying it's a nice race in APP. Lost focus, haven't raced at Miami. It's a bad track. I could agree with all of that there, to be honest. It was a shame for you, Lupper. I saw the various, I didn't see the spins themselves, but I saw the yellow flags. It's a huge shame for you. Just come back strong, I guess, for Tier 2, hopefully. Put the practice in if you can get the time. But meanwhile, Lifebout getting into the DRS. It's an easy overtake down the Camel Straight. He's into the lead of this race. Takes it from Luca Rapassa. We have a new race leader. Third race leader of this race. Danny Van Rooten might get involved in this too if he gets close enough. But as I was saying, Miami, awful circuit. Nowhere near as good as the likes of this track.
Yeah, there's just no grip on it. That's the problem, really. If there was more grip, it would be much more fun to drive. But it's the lack of grip, especially in Sector 1, that's really difficult to deal with. But yeah, Lifebout absolutely flying in this race now, half a second ahead of Luca, and shows no signs of slowing down, up to 6/10 now. And Danny Van Rooten just about staying with them. Jordan Lancer 3.5 seconds behind. With a 3-second time penalty to his name. Short Marcus sticking with him, and there's a long train down to P8. By the way, Johnny Stokes back up to P8, and this is what I was saying, this is why he's the championship leader. It doesn't matter, through thick and thin, he somehow finds a way to stay with the pack and capitalizes on every mistake that happens. And he's sitting there in P8, ready and waiting for any errors ahead of him, and he'll be straight up another position.
That was a reliable check off of my ESRL bingo card. Tear off the track. That happens. Really, he's a great racer in his own right, but he does like the off parts of the circuit, which you don't race on. Meanwhile, Luca Rapassa now, he's going to do the exact same thing Lifebout did. He gets the launch out of Al Rouge and Radion, gets a job done, straight past he goes, the Alpine, and back into the lead. Luca Rapassa, this race between the top three continues. Danny Van Rooten will be hoping that they get themselves time penalties too in order to make this equal again. We'll take another quick look at the time penalties again. 3 for Danny and Jordan Lancer. There's 6 for Finley. Reshko with 3. Matty Jones with 3. B17 with 3 seconds. And Tier, who's just been demoted into last place, with 6.
So yeah, people struggling to keep it on the track, but it's so difficult to not get track limits penalties at Spa. It really, really is. But yeah, Lifebout losing that spot again. But look at the ERS difference between them. Lifebout on about 50%. Luca Rapassa sitting down on 30 or so. So Lifebout definitely with the advantage here in terms of ERS saving. And it looks like he's got a straight line speed advantage as well. Because look at this down towards Blanchimont. I know the slipstream counts for a lot around here, but not quite that much. And I think definitely a lower downforce setup for Lifebout, if not slightly.
Yeah, I think from my knowledge of Lifebout setups and using it every now and again, he does like a low downforce setup, a very understeery car. I'd imagine, whereas I'm the opposite. I like a lot of downforce on my car. It helps me stop, helps me keep as stable as possible. And if you could be quick in the corners, you can make up for a lack of speed on the straights.
It very much depends on the circuit. Like this track, Miami, you can get away with differing wing levels between the drivers. You just have to drive differently depending on what you've got. But here comes Lifebout drawing to the inside of Luca. Danny right behind as well, but not close enough to have a look. And Lifebout back into the lead of this race. A short Marcus gets past Jordan Lancer for P4, but he's 5.5 seconds adrift of the top three. And well, it's no contest, but Sumo, if a safety car comes out before the end of this race, it's going to be absolute fireworks.
Oh, indeed. Tear into the wall, perhaps? Who knows? Maybe a barrier. All the shade on Tier. We love him, really. But if anyone's going to put it in the wall, then that's where my money would go, at least. But we'll see. He's having a nice battle with B17.
Well, Rick's out, so you know that's the next most likely. Lancer nearly into the wall there on the exit in Sector 2, just about keeping it on the track. Big oversteer moment for the Mercedes, but he did well to hold on to that, and still behind short Marcus for now, but looking very close. Jack in the chat saying, "Ha, Rick's out." So just as you would expect. But Marcus coming to bus stop just ahead of Lancer still, but the DRS is going to be big for the Mercedes driver down towards Les Combes.
Yeah, big battle going on here. Luca staying nice and close to Lifebout. These three have been inseparable since the restart of this race. If a safety car's going to come out, it's got to come out in the next couple of laps or so before it loses its chance to make an impact on the race. Luca Rapassa all over the back of that Alpine, getting all up in his business, making those mirrors filled with that Red Bull logo as he passes straight down the Kemmel Straight, ahead about now into the lead once more. Another change at the front as Jordan Lancer and Short Marcus swap places again, and there's a big fight between TF Martin and Lewis going on behind him as they go side by side through Malmedy. Now they go down the hill towards Rivage, and it's TF Martin in P6. Look who are near each other once more on the circuit. It is those bitter rivals, Short Marcus and TF Martin. Keep it civil, boys.
Lancer up to 6 seconds of time penalties, so he is out of this battle now, well and truly. But yeah, Martin and Marcus, they took each other out again last week. Well, it was more Marcus taking Mar out last week in Monza, but Mar still managed to win the race. Despite that, it was a fantastic drive from him, probably one of the best I've seen in a long time from the German. And now here he is, faced with a McLaren rear wing once again, and he's going to be thinking, how can I please have one race without having to battle this guy?
Yeah, I've seen some phenomenal fireworks between those two. I mentioned the reverse sprint race series here at ESRL, which was absolute fire. There was Marcus, Martin fighting constantly. You were up there, Ghost, as well. There was a McLaren driver who I can't quite remember the name of, but they were up there a couple of times in that series as well. There was some fantastic battles. Qatar comes to mind in all honesty, but here we go again. Lifebout DRS opened up once again. He's going to tuck in. Closing speed is phenomenal on that car. Low downforce on the Alpine. Straight ahead of Luca he goes, and he's got much more battery. 81 for Lifebout, for 51 for Luca, and in 32 of Danny Van Rooten, who's still with them despite that penalty.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, Danny, to stay with those guys. But yeah, it's not going to do him much good with that penalty. But he's doing well. He's on for a very good podium here, despite all of that. There's another time penalty further down. I think that was Finley. By the way, confirmation from Cialda in the Discord that it was a hardware issue. His brake pedal, like I suspected, had broken. Not sure how and in what way, but yeah, no brake pedal for Cialda, and that's such a shame because he had a really good argument for being driver of the day today until then.
I hope that's not brought any bad memories back for you there, Ghost. Thinking about Tier 1.
Yeah, that's fateful Austria race a long time ago. But yeah, it is Lifebout leading this Grand Prix, though, with Luca just behind still. We've got yellow flags, though. That's B17 as Binder in Sector 2. I'm not sure if he's... Yeah, he's still in the race, and he's moving again, so no safety car for that one. As Lifebout very wide at La Source. That could have been a track limits warning for the Alpine driver. Someone in the chat asking what happened to Finley. Nothing happened to Finley. He's just not been on the pace. It's simple as that. He's not enjoyed this track today, Oscar, so it's a shame for him. But Luca looking to the inside of Lifebout, retaking the lead of the race in simple fashion, and with 4.5 laps to go, it's Luca who leads once again from Lifebout and Danny.
Yeah, he'll be thinking, can this Alpine please go away? It's every lap, Lifebout's been hounding him, he's been all over the back of him, and he's had the measure on Luca for lap after lap here, and he's actually playing this quite smart. He's saving the ERS, he knows he's got the pace advantage, blades out, he's crashing us all, safety car!
That's a safety car, it is a safety car right at the end of this race, with 4.5 laps left to go. B17 has binned it out of La Source, and that is really going to throw a spanner in the works in this race. This is going to be fireworks to the end now. Danny Van Ruten's going to be the biggest loser. Jordan Lancer, pretty big loser as well. He's going to drop a ton of positions due to that penalty, but he would have done anyway. So it's Danny really who's got the most to lose. Everyone's going to be in for the softs, and this is going to be a grandstand finish to this Grand Prix.
My oh my, when it's come out, it'll come in on lap 20, I can guarantee you that. Give us 2 laps of racing. So drivers have got to come in, it will close the field back up. It brings the likes of Short Marcus back into play. TF Martin as well, he'll be there too. Hopefully no drama between those two. Danny Van Ruten and Jordan Lancer, they'll give it a good go, but that time penalty, they'll be ruining the day that safety car came out. As that time penalty is really going to be felt after this.
Certainly is. Jordan Lancer with 6 seconds as well, so it's really going to cost him even more. But Johnny Stokes, don't forget about the championship leader as well. He's sitting there in P8. He's ready. If anything goes wrong, I am absolutely certain he will be the first one to capitalise. But he's going to exit the pits in P8. Just as he entered, unless he manages to jump Lewis. No, he doesn't. So Lewis P7. Everyone as they were, but on the soft tyres now. And don't forget about Lucas' possible qualifying penalty as well. Obviously, we can't say anything for sure until the stewards are done well after this race. But I think Luca could find himself in trouble for that one. And if he does, it would be, I believe, a 10-second penalty or more. And with this late safety car, it could drop him all the way down a ton of positions.
Tier taking a risk. He's the only driver not to come in for softs.
He's going to be swamped. What are you doing, Tier?
He'll probably come in this lap, but...
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't just dive in already. I mean,
he wants 1 lap fresher tyres than everyone else, I guess.
He's the only Haas in the race.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's the F1 point system, so points only for the top 10. So, you know, sometimes a risk is worth taking, but this time it's definitely not. If he doesn't come in, he is probably going to cause a collision, to be honest, of people trying to get past him. And if not, he's going to be about 10 seconds off the pack by the end.
I'll tell you what's happened. Fred Vassal's coming to Ferrari, and he found the people responsible for Charles Leclerc's pit stop, well, strategy woes at Silverstone that cost him a race win, and he sent them all to Haas. And that's what's happened there. And Tier in this situation is Charles Leclerc, who's not come in for soft tyres, and well, has found himself guaranteed to be at the back of the grid.
That's a perfect explanation. I can't find any fault with that explanation, personally. Makes perfect sense to
knowledge.
Me. Exactly. But yeah, it is Luca who leads at this safety car. It will be in at the end of lap 20 if it doesn't dive into the pits very, very late, but I don't think it will. Nope, stays out. It did last week. Came into the pits... I think it was in Monza. It came into the pits as they were coming through Parabolica, which was wild. Tier into the pits, though, thankfully, for fresh soft tyres, and he will have 1 lap fresher softs than everyone else, so misunderstood genius, perhaps, Sumo.
Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? He's got those time penalties to contend with, though, so he's not going to make too much of an impact on this race. We'll take one more look at the penalty situation, I suppose. 3 for Danny Van Ritten, 6 for Jordan Lancer in the Mercedes. It is 3 for Reshka, 12 seconds of penalties for Finley. Scotty, none, of course, and then there's Matty Jones and Tier, both on 6 seconds as well.
Indeed. Well, Luca Rapassa... He's got a lot of work to do here, and we'll see if Matty Jones does report him. I'll be keeping a very close eye on that stewards channel in the Discord after this race. But for now, he's leading, and he's got to just try his best to win this. So strong in this race for race pace. His qualifying pace, well, his qualifying lap. Wasn't the best. It put him down in P6, I think, is where he started. But now up to P2 and looks to be possibly the favourite to win this race because he was outclassing Luca in that stint. They were swapping positions, but it did seem like Lifeout was the faster driver.
Yeah, I think Lifeout just seems to have a bit more of a put-together setup, at least for the race here. And I mean... He said he had the pace to go for pole position in qualifying, so he definitely seems like he's the fastest driver out on the track on this occasion. And, well, they're going to have 2 laps to sprint all the way to the finish. The safety car's going to probably come in just as they pass this sector 3 line. There it is. In it goes, as is my knowledge of the game. So Luca Rapassa has from now until the time that safety car pulls into the pit lane to get this race started. Well, from the minute the safety car pulls into the pit lane to the line, I should say, not from right now. They'll definitely catch and overtake that safety car, and it wouldn't be safe at all. But Luca, when will he go?
Well, the last safety car restart, he went extremely slowly and went just before Blanchimont. And it looks like he's doing the same thing again here. So is Lifeout going to be wise to it, knowing what he did last time? I'd be surprised if he wasn't. The Dutchman's got a good head on his shoulders. It's a Dutch 1-2 at the moment as well. But Luca coming to Blanchimont now. Is he going to do the same thing again? He's weaving, but he's gone for it just before Blanchimont once again. But this time, the P2 man stays with him. Lifebout saw it coming and still within 3.5 tenths. And we're going to head on to the final 2 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix with Luca under pressure from Lifebout, but a brilliant exit from the final corner for the Red Bull driver as Tier gets a 3-second time penalty before the green flags were even underway.
Well, Rick in the chat saying it's a Dutch 1-2-3, and I thought Danny Van Rooten sounded like a Dutch name, although Short Marcus currently is your P3 man.
He certainly is on time penalties, and it could be P2 if Luca does get that penalty, but we'll see afterwards. We'll just assume he's not going to get it for now. But Martin just behind Marcus as well, so these two once again near each other on track, so you can never tell what's going to happen. Who knows, maybe Lewis could win this race after all is said and done, or Johnny Stokes, the championship leader. Don't count him out either. He's right behind Lewis and looking for more positions before the end. 1.5 laps left to go. Matty Jones gets himself another penalty. Finley and Reshka side by side down towards No Name. Brilliant racing between the two. It's Finley on the inside for Pouon. Is Reshka going to get a back out. If I know him, he won't, and he doesn't. But Finley gets the move done on the inside, but Reshko what's the words? You know what I mean. He switches back. That's what I was looking for on the exit. Brilliant racing between those two, and Reshka just ahead, with Luca Rapassa right ahead of Lifebout again going into the final lap. We've got Zach Sweeney in the chat, which is great to see for the last lap and a half of this race. With 1 lap to go as Lifebout, here we go to the outside of Luca for bus stop chicane. Surely not going to go for the move here, and doesn't, but we're going to go on to the final lap. There's going to be no DRS for Lifebout, and also what this safety car did was equalise the ERS, so Lifebout lost his advantage in that area. Jordan Lancer sets the fastest lap, so he'll get the extra point for that at least, but he will drop a long way with those 6 seconds of penalties. Reshko and Finley battling once again for 11 and 12, but we've got to keep an eye on the front of the grid because Luca Rapassa under pressure from the Dutchman of Lifebout in the Alpine, coming down towards Lecon. Lifebout using all the ERS he's got. He looks to the inside, he looks to the outside, he's going to go for it. It's going to be the inside for the next corner, but he's trying to keep his foot in and does, and they're side by side all the way through. Luca lost the rear as they went through the right-hander, but he just about stays ahead. Brilliant racing, and Luca stays in the lead of this race. Short Marcus and TF Martin going side by side. There's always fireworks when that happens, but Marcus stays ahead, and Martin has got to find another way to do this before the end of this race. We're going to get fireworks into bus stop. I can feel it coming as Danny Van Rooten gets 6 seconds of penalties. That is going to drop him well off the podium, unfortunately for him, and Short Marcus is definitely in for a podium here, but so is Martin. Lewis AP right there as well, but we've got to keep an eye. Luca and Lifebout down towards bus stop. What can they do? Lifebout all the way down to bus stop. He's going to use all the ERS he's got. Luca's got some as well, but he's run out just about now. Lifebout sees that flashing red light. He knows the Red Bull's vulnerable. Here we go, down towards bus stop. Can Lifebout make the move for the lead of the race at the final corner? Round the outside is going to be the inside for the final corner. Lifebout at the bus stop chicane. Can he get the exit he wants? They're going to be side by side to the line. It's a drag race. Lifebout wins it by 0.035 seconds. What a finish to this Grand Prix. Martin got past Marcus as well into the final corner, and he will take P3 in this race. What a grandstand finish to the Belgian Grand Prix. Wow.
Lots of close margins up and down the grid toward the end there. Short Marcus lost out by 1/10 of a second, and Danny Van Rooten lost out on P7 by 0.04 of a second as well, almost 5 actually, as it's the 0.049.
Wow, wow, wow. It's Lifebout who takes the win ahead of Luca Rapassa in the end. I think a well-deserved victory as well for Lifebout. Came from P6 on the grid and fought his way through all the way back up to the top, and it takes the top step of the podium from the 2 Red Bulls in 2 and 3, but Luca Rapassa possibly in the stewards later on.
Yeah, a big decision perhaps there as we go through, but a double podium at least for now for Luca Rapassa and TF Martin. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I lost track for a moment. Zach's put me off in the chat as well as we go along there. But I'll let you run through the grid then, Ghost, as it looks like Jordan Lance has got himself that fastest lap in the end.
Yeah, he did indeed. So Lifebout wins the Belgian Grand Prix by 35 thousandths of a second from Luca Rapassa at the last corner. Martin takes P3 on the podium after getting past Marcus on the final corner as well. Lewis AP takes P5 with the championship leader Johnny Stokes still going strong. A solid result again, P6. Speed Alcoholic in P7 in the end, getting some decent points after that disaster under the safety car. Danny Van Rooten, Jordan Lancer and Clemo, the last of the point scorers, and then a bunch of other drivers out of the points, unfortunately, for Scotty here, Reshka and others. But what a grandstand finish. We've got to come to driver of the day, Sumo. Who do you reckon?
Oh, my word. You know what? To go up against Luca Rapassa, well-known esports driver, Danny Van Rooten, esports driver as well, and come out on top. Lifebout did not give up. He looked like the fastest driver out there all day. I've got to give it to him. It's a no-brainer, I think.
I would absolutely agree. I was going to say the same thing. Lifeboat driver of the day for today. What a win for him here in Belgium. Against some very, very, very fast drivers with some high reputations. So he'll be very happy with that. Yeah, what a Grand Prix that was, and some interesting championship implications. Those 6 seconds of penalties for Lancer dropping all the way to P8, I think it was, or P9. Huge, huge errors for him, because he's going to be cursing that late safety car, but he would have dropped quite a few positions anyway due to the train. But even so, it's dropped him behind Johnny Stokes. So actually, Johnny Stokes finishes P6, a solid result, but he's managed to extend his championship lead, I think. Especially if Luca gets that penalty.
Yeah, certainly so. And at least TF Martin and Short Marcus both finished the race.
Yeah, they had a battle and they didn't kill each other. It's good progress between those two. But
More of that, please.
yes. But anyway, fantastic Grand Prix, great racing up and down the grid, and congratulations to all the podium finishers. But anyway, I think an honourable mention to Cialda 93 as well. His brake pedal broke mid-race while he was having an absolutely brilliant drive, so it's such a shame for him. Had to retire in the pit lane, but an honourable mention to him because he was doing very, very well until then.
Yeah, he certainly was. It's always hard for your hardware to break down on you like that, but that is the territory that we find ourselves in league racing. It does happen. It's not too dissimilar from an engine blowing in real motorsport or some sort of other mechanical failure on a car. So, you know, it comes with its ups and downs, motorsport, and the highs are very high, the lows are very low, and sadly for Cialda, it was a very low low halfway through this race today.
Yeah, it was indeed. Well, with that said, I think it's time for us to sign off, but thank you to everyone who watched this stream today. It was a fantastic race from our point of view. I hope you enjoyed it too. And thank you to everyone who commented as well, leaving messages in the chat. Very much appreciated. So thank you all ever so much for watching. We'll be back next week for more ESRL. I believe it's a 100% race around Japan. So we'll have to see how that goes, and then followed by Monaco, which I won't be here for, unfortunately. But I don't know if Sumo will be. It remains to be seen. But that's 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks away, and we will see you then. But for now, thank you ever so much for watching. I've been Ghost.
I've been Sumo.
And we'll see you all next week for more ESRL. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye.